Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Rock and Roll Kids. It is a Eurovision night, and we are here to talk about them damn Glazers. Feliz Navidad, hello, and how are we doing? Um, Linda Martin once sang a song, Why Me? And that is what I ask myself often when I talk about these damn glaciers, because they have been a thorn in my side for quite some time. It's not only a Eurovision night, it's also a Champions League semi-final night. And we will, of course, be saying Hala Madrid to our Spanish brethren because we need someone to stop that damn trouble, don't we, Mr. Juma?
We certainly do. Champions League, we're talking Champions League tonight. Big game, obviously, football neutral. I'll be watching that. But also with the hope that we'll be in the Champions League next season. And you talk about falling in your side. There's the opportunity to drop about Annie Lennox falling in your side. The Eurythmics. That was a great song as well. You missed the boat there, and we might be missing the boat as well with this top four. We've had so many points clear of Liverpool, and they seem to be closing the gap. So worries for Man United fans at the moment. But sometimes you need that for extra pressure and to perform better, hopefully. And this is where we need to step up and get that character. But yeah, today we're here to talk about the big news, and I'm glad you're here, Rebel. Rebel, just quickly, how was your weekend? Because it was bank holiday weekend over here because of the King's coronation. Were you celebrating in Ireland?
I wasn't exactly celebrating, but I did actually have a long weekend because I took Monday off because we were playing in the Munster Championship, GAA. I won't get into the ins and outs of that, but my county won, and we have a bit of silverware in the back pocket. Brilliant. But Manchester United have been looking to a new king. They want somebody to take on the throne of ownership. And today we've had multiple reports in the media regarding this and that, and we will go and be getting into that quite shortly. I want to say hello to the 10 people that have joined us in the chat. Welcome, and we are delighted to have you here, and I look forward to seeing your comments as we get through all this information. So let's get this topic up there. Is the Glazer exit approaching? So earlier this morning, I'm going to take you back to around 9-10 o'clock this morning. Adam Crofton of The Athletic said, neither the Qatari bid for Manchester United nor the Enos bid for Manchester United is subject to Erik ten Hag's side qualifying for Champions League football. The price and the bid will not be affected regardless of whether we achieve top four. So that was our opening gambit this morning. Then, as the day went on, the Express and a number of other media outlets started to report that the Qatari bid now is being favoured by the Glazers, according to them, and the deal is on track per the timeline that was established for concluding the business. So we rolled on, and now we're looking at The Guardian then reporting about how the Glazer family, despite having £511 million of debt in Manchester United Football Club, were still pulling dividends galore out of the coffers of Manchester United Football Club and neglecting their duties with regards to training ground and stadium. So that is where I'm going to pause proceedings and get you, OMONDI, to say hello to some commenters.
Yeah, obviously, all the way from Ireland, we've got Robbie Norman. How you doing, Robbie Norman? He said, what's the Skinny Lads? Is that a group? Is that to do with the pop tunes you were talking about earlier? I'm not sure. Written by Johnny Logan. Ring any bells with you there, Rebel?
That would be the Linda Martin song, Why Me, that I referred to at the start of the show.
Okay. I thought so. That was over my head. Good evening to Ed Mayhem. How you doing? Hope you got back safely. Obviously, you know, Ed Mayhem came down to play in the charity game, Man United Agenda versus Cops Talks TV. A dramatic game which we lost with the last kick of the game. Well done to Ed Mayhem for coming down and performing. We've got Bo Heyman, Boomhauser, sorry, excuse me. Howdy, he says. Good evening to you. Hope you're doing well, bro. And welcome to the channel. Andy Long's in the house. Good evening, Andy. How are you, man? I hope you're well. pray to Zop that the Glazers go. Yes, we certainly do. It's about time to get out of here. Ed Mayhem saying here, there has been many backs and forths in regards to the sell. It's hard to really know what it is what at the moment. I want to say good evening to the wonderful Solo. Right back. We need a right back at Man United, but we've got one for Man United agenda, and he gave away a penalty, but good performance overall. Brush is in the house as well. How you doing, Brush? Nice to see you, man. And Buchhauser is saying, how bad are the Glazers that our best bet is sports washing entity? And Red Devils TV. How you doing, Red Devils TV? Good to see you, bro. He said, good evening, guys. It's Dan. Hope you're both well. I'm sure he's saying, yeah.
And speaking of Dan, we will be seeing Dan at some point this week. I'll be in touch with you on Twitter to arrange either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. I'm not sure which yet for you to come on. But let's get back into the nitty-gritty of this takeover. I was reminded this morning as well that it's nearly 6 months since that famous doorstop interview of, I can't remember whether it was Joel or Avram, where they were talking about getting involved in a process for the sale of Manchester United Football Club. We've had so many twists and turns, from Mr. Jim Ratcliffe being declared as the primary candidate, now to a complete flip-flop to talk about Sheikh Jassim. And the report that came out in the last 2 hours was as follows. Sheikh Jassim has been tipped to edge out Enos, says Sir Jim Ratcliffe, in the race to become the new owner of Premier League giants Manchester United. The Red Devils have been up for sale since November of last year, and this takeover saga looks to be nearing its conclusion. The third and final round of bidding took place at the end of April, and the Glazer family are expected to pick their preferred bidder in the coming weeks, this report says, but there are more suggestions that it will be by Friday of this week. We will obviously be keeping an eye on that. Jassim and Radcliffe are in the running to become the club's new majority stakeholders. Obviously, Sheikh Jassim has said that he wants to be a 100% owner of Manchester United Football Club, whereas it seems that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was trying to engage in a bit of tact in order to extradite the Glazers ultimately out of Manchester United Football Club by going into partnership with them initially. Now, on Monday, and the viewers, what I want to ask you is this. Obviously, if Sir Jim's bid was being seriously considered by Joel and Avram, the two Glazers that wish to stay at Manchester United Football Club, you would think that they would look to conclude business as quickly and efficiently as possible, because they would then have to start planning the future steps of Manchester United Football Club with their new business partner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So there's a lot of people in the Twitterverse and in the media that seem to be taking the line that this delay and this political football that has been thrown into the air by the Glazers, with dragging their heels and dragging out the process, is because they want to get more money out of Sheikh Jassim, out of Qatar, for their asset. And that they've really closed the door on going into partnership with Sir Jim. Whatever about selling all their shares to Sir Jim, the idea of partnership with him, I'd imagine, isn't realistic given the way that they're dealing with the negotiations. I'm just looking for your opinion.
Well, first of all, I just want to say this to everyone out there. Our forum's got nothing to do with this Glazer issue going on at board level or ownership level. I don't think the players are really affected by that. Think, oh God, I can't play to our full standard because of what's going on, or using that as an excuse. And I don't want to see fans using that as an excuse either. It's got nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. Yeah, we're down to two. Obviously, we've weighed up brilliantly with Ratcliffe, maybe trying to bring them in for 20% for the two brothers that want to stay. And then we've got the big money Qatari consortium, whatever, coming in and wants to pay the money, you know. And you said, look, what you said is clear. The Glazers are businessmen, okay? And businessmen never take the highest bid, in my opinion. I don't know about this 20%, where they might weigh it over and chew it over, but is that real good business for them, or just sell the club? A few weeks ago, do you remember, Rebel, they were saying about, oh no, maybe in 10 years' time, the club will, increase in value. So let's try and get as much as we can. But they're dragging it on now. It's the third stage of proceedings at the moment. It's like if you're going for a job interview, you have your first stage meeting with a group of people, they filter it down, and then you can have your second stage meeting where it's more intense one-on-one, and then they have a more intense one, a third stage, which usually for an important job, it's a third stage thing where they're really outlining, okay, what can you do for us? How are we going to run this and get this done? That was done at the end of April, and I think by now they know what's going on, but we can only speculate. But if we're being sensible here, it has to be the Qatari group, because they're greedy businessmen. They will take the money and run, because they're not rated. They get no ratings. Whatever the fans that they might not be able to get to board level and go knock on their door and come into board meetings and really give it some. Can't even get close to these people. But the feeling is bad. They stunk out the place, and I think they should just take the money now. Great deal they've got here. Chelsea was valued at what they sold for 3.5 billion. Yeah. And then you're almost going to get double that with extras, maybe. I would take that. That is a good deal. We are 50% more, or double what Chelsea are valued at. I take that. We are clearly. We've got our history. We've got our stadium. We've got our fan base. We've got our merchandise all around the world. There's so much value to Man United Football Club. Take it, man. Make a world record bid and go back to the States and deal with what you have to deal with, because you're no longer wanted around here. It's simple as that. And make the deal quickly. If it's this Friday, Rebel, that's great news for the club, because then the Saturday we play a game, and then you can make that correlation between what's going on the pitch with the good news maybe of them leaving, and we have an official announcement that we have a new coronation of a king, whether it's a Qatari king or whatever. Let's just have a new leadership. Let's have some new ownership. I mean, if political parties, they have 4-year run, 5-year run. This team, this empire has had a 15, 16-year run. There's a saying that most empires average at 250 years. Well, I think football empires like this that have been disastrous should only average about 15 years, and they've come to an end, and it's time to topple them. Revolution, guys. Fight the power. Let's get these guys out, and let's get these new guys in and start working.
Absolutely. No, Monday, you did touch on some very key, poignant points. And one of it was the decline of Manchester United's football-related fortunes since the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson is not without blood in his hands in terms of the Glazer ownership, because he did, unfortunately, endorse these cretins when they took over from the Irish conglomerate of Magner and JP. But that is all in the past. But what is very key is the Glazer family are being advised by people that are trawling and doing their due diligence of the reaction, because there is a thought out there that any sort of leak that has been put out into circulation is to gauge the reaction of Joe and Jane, public Manchester United fan. And the feeling I think that they had been sent back is that any retention of a Glazer within club would be met with hostile reaction from the fan base. So much so that there's talk amongst certain protesting groups that they would seek to get games taken down next season should these guys remain. But I suppose for Manchester United, the key now is getting matters resolved so that we can advance forward and plan for next season. Manchester United Football Club has been neglected by the Glazers for the last 10 years. It has been a cash ATM with the sole purpose of filling their pockets. The family is completely and utterly split in terms of its resolve for keeping the club. And the only reason why Joel and Avram apparently want to stay is not for the love of football, because they don't give a continentals about football. That is clear to see from the way that they've treated Manchester United's footballing exploits. It's because they fear, they have FOMO, that they might miss out on a larger payday in the medium to long term. That is the only reason why they would have any interest. There's no sentimentality in the ownership of Manchester United. Their late pops has nothing to do with their keenness to keep Manchester United. It is all corporate greed. But Manchester United Football Club, according to reports, is of course looking to be in the final straight for whatever way it goes, whether it's Qatar or Sir Jim. It is believed that this saga, this 6-month saga, we thought the Frankie de Jong one was long. This one has been like the Emperor Strikes Back, because it has gone on and on and on, and Manchester United football fans want it to end. So the reports today, and I will love to hear the viewers' comments now on this, is that now Qatar is believed to be the favoured bidder that will be announced as the preferred and sole entity which they will be arranging the transfer of Manchester United Football Club. Obviously, these are only reports that we're seeing in the media. There's no sources by the Man United agenda. We are just commenting on what we're seeing being put out in the newsprint and looking for your views.
There you go. UK Strange, how you doing, man? He's saying, I don't trust anyone at board level at Manchester United. Richard Arnold and John are clueless how to run a football club. This is about who gets what from the deal. Viking Red, how you doing, man? He says, hi, guys. Everyone's been in shit. Hi, and everyone. It's been a shit couple of games. Sorry for caps. It's okay. It's more impact when you say that it has been poor. Bart saying here, we cannot have another country state owning a club. Something has to give. Viking Red said Qataris are a real deal. If there was a World Cup achievement, if a World Cup achievement was successful with United, we've hit gold. Okay, so he likes the idea. Bo Hauser saying, I don't know what to think. My brain goes fuzzy when we're talking about these amount of money. It's such a huge amount, isn't it? Billions. We need someone who loves United, not for business reasons, but for footballing. And not increasing ticket values. But there's a comment here talking about from Viking Reds. He says the Sheikh is a proper United fan. He just asked David Beckham. Bart saying here, if we assume that Abdul Dubai is the benchmark of how to run a club, I suspect that the only way United actually competes with City season in, season out is if Qatar buys multiple clubs.
Actually, interestingly, they already do have a suite of clubs. Bear in mind that PSG is under Qatari ownership. There's a Portuguese club under Qatari ownership, and they are looking at getting involved in an American club and building a conglomerate of a network of clubs. So that is probably already underway, and United could be the final piece of that jigsaw.
Wow. And the biggest piece for sure. My stoner fantasy is Charlie Day gets Hugh Jackman and Warren Buffett together. They buy our club. That's a good one. Ed Mayhem saying no one cared when City and Newcastle were bought by State, but now it's Man United. Everyone's in uproar. Have a day off, he's saying. Ed Mayhem there. Red Devils TV saying, Ed Mayhem, I was just saying about that. It's because they fear the sleeping giant. For sure, we are a sleeping giant. We would be a force to be reckoned with, no doubt. Bart again saying perhaps the most scary part of a country's takeover, state takeover, is that the Magpies owners have barely broken a sweat and are already above the Manchester United Football Club. Don't know about Saudis. We were sat on United board for more than 50 years. You don't know the Saudis were sat on the United board for more than 50 years. That's from Viking Red. Middle East have been dealing with United for years. Okay. I didn't know that, but if that's true, fair enough. Man United has been sold off to Qatar, says UK Strange, in my opinion. I don't agree with blood money. It really isn't welcome, he's saying there. So everyone's got their view here. Viking Red saying, please realise United missed the Qatari boat, we're done for. If we've missed the Qatari boat, we're done for. That's what he's basically saying there. And big up to Bath Time with what he's saying. Who's reported Qatar are the preferred bidders? Sorry, Rebel, he wants to know.
So, it was the Express was the first to come out with this morning. Now, there's multiple tabloids have repeated it and pulled it through in various websites since then. But it was the Express that was the first one that I saw having it this morning. And as I said, we're just commenting on the speculation. And I do have a big question mark on the thing as to whether or not they are the preferred bidder, but it does seem that we've seen a very big contrasting shift from the fact that Sir Jim was viewed as the main man last week, now to them all seeming to be lining up and printing the line Qatar preferred bidder. Now, obviously, things can change rapidly and negotiations can break down, but that is the news of the day that is being printed by reporters. So we will have to wait and see. Now, there is another bit of breaking news, and this came out in the last hour. Now, I know on Monday this is something a bit more exciting in your wheelhouse that you like to talk about, but it is reported now in the last hour that David De Gea apparently has agreed a 200k per week contract to stay at Manchester United with a suite of incentives in place with regards to matches played, etc. And I want to know what your thoughts are on David De Gea possibly being a number 2 keeper and earning 200k per week.
How much was he on before? He was on
375.
So he's taking almost a 50% cut for his wage. Fair play to him. He wants to stay at the club. Is that because there's no other offers elsewhere for him? Is he happy to be a squad player? Is this the ambition of the man? Or does he just love the club that much that he will sort of take a wage hike and go along with it to be sitting on the bench if that's the case, if we get another keeper in? I don't know. Many questions to be answered. But one thing we did say, and I'm not going to sort of be a hypocrite here, I did say if we do sign a new contract, he has to sort of cut his wage because he's not performing at that sort of level where he's a central first team player. You can break it down. You can look at his distribution, his command of the area, the mistake he made at West Ham the other day, which could be crucial for our stake for Champions League. When you weigh it up, Champions League, how much money you get from there, and that stupid mistake. All right, people might say he had a good season, but mistakes on this high level, you're not going to be the highest paid player if you're going to perform like that. And I don't think, personally, he performs that well because we're missing a whole dimension of our play, building out from the back, and we're losing a lot of possession from a possession-based manager who should be really, he feels with the team he's got, should be performing better and winning these games away from home. And being, challenging for something, despite being his first season. The manager believes himself that much. So I think De Gea, as the comments are flying in right now, I can see them flashing by. I think that, please, guys, have your say in this, because I'm going to say mine, and I appreciate everyone's got their own opinion on this. But I would say, De Gea, well done. And I'm a guy who's not supporting him. I would say it's time for him to leave. But if he's going to take a wage cut and he's going to be a B team player and accept that for me, two things. That shows me that, yeah, okay, it's good for us. You're taking a cut. But then it shows me, deep down, you don't deserve to be top man. And you also know, for ambition-wise, which I don't like, you're not that ambitious because you should be saying, no, I would still want to be Spain's number one. I want to be a club number one and prove myself. So I'm going to go elsewhere, which Harry Maguire might be doing. I'm not trying to compare the two in any way about character or whatever. I'm just saying Harry Maguire, I think, is going to leave the club based on him wanting to perform in Euro 2024 and having first team football. That's his ambition. But if someone who's been at the top now realizes, right, I take 200 grand, he probably thinks he's getting away with murder right now. I don't know. But what do you guys think in the comments? And what do you think, Rebel? Because this is a good talking point.
Now, I do want to touch on this comment from Bat Time because this kind of really sets the scene for me. If David De Gea is replaced as number one and a new number one is purchased, we automatically have to top that 200k basic and the incentives that would be attached to his contract. He would be the second highest paid keeper then in the league for sitting on the bench. That does not make business sense. And it suggests to me that some of these contracts are being doled out by people that might not necessarily be in jobs in 12 months' time. And I got to question the modus operandi of the people making these decisions. Firstly, in light of the fact that there's probably going to be new owners come summer transfer window. Ten Hag, while he is doing exactly what he needs to do in terms of defending his keeper, because he is going to be the number one until end of the season. There is no other keeper to shift him out of his place, and he has to back him. It does not mean that Ten Hag necessarily sees the style of keeper that De Gea is as the blueprint for the way he wants to play football next season. So Manchester United are giving a huge wage to somebody for possibly sitting on the bench. Now, that has all been brought into reality by the fact that we're paying Phil Jones 75,000 to never even sit on the bench, as UK Strains says. So again, this would probably be, in my view, a continuation of what we're not doing quite right in the areas above the football pitch.
Yeah, but sorry, Rebel, when you weigh it up though, if you're on 375 and you do decide to take a cut of almost half to 200 grand, wouldn't you look at that as, okay, that's pretty good, we go with that? Because there's an argument to say he has been a good servant, he has been a good keeper, he's got 15 clean sheets, even that's just a stat, but it doesn't actually highlight the real truth of what we're missing here, missing the trick with a goalkeeper that can distribute the ball. So I can see the pros and cons of it. That's why I think there's a fair argument. And a lot of people in the comments are making good argument about this as well.
Here's the question, though,
yeah.
And I got to put this out to the comments as well. Say he agreed to 200k a week. Who are we competing against for it to have to go to 200k a week to keep him at Manchester United? How savvy was the negotiation to discuss it with his agent? If we were sitting down, we're saying, look, David, you've done fantastic for the club. You've been a great servant for the club. You have achieved A, B, and C. We have a desire to see you retire in a Manchester United club jersey and mentor the next player to take over as number one. He will be coming in as your understudy this year, and we will be hoping that he will be in a position to challenge you by the end of the season and maybe take over the season after. We view you as an important part of our club, and with respect to what you've done for us, we will give you a little over the market value and offer you 150,000. And for each game that you play and clean sheets, you get blah, 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 blah. There is no other club that was in to pay David De Gea 200k a week at this point. Unless you talk about the Arabian leagues or America, with which market values tends to go out the window.
Yeah. Comments. Bart saying here, if De Gea is earning 200 grand a week or $1 million a month, I suspect the United wage bill has gone for a toss. There's no club in the world that pays a second choice keeper that much. Number 2, yes, says Viking. Saragon's in the house, by the way. How you doing, Saragon? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Viking Red saying, I hope he goes on to be coached for Man United in the future. So he wants to keep him in the club. Bart saying, let's admit it, that we all need agents like De Gea's and Phil's in our lives. Throwing money at the players, says UK Strange. Bath Time saying, I'm actually stunned that Ten Hag has approved this. But Brush is saying 200 grand as a backup is madness. If we're not going to use him, then we should move him on. Good point. Andy's saying here, it's one less player to need replacing this summer if Eric Ten Hag finds some time for a suitable replacement. Bart again is saying, if David gets that sum, how much will the number one lad command? 300 grand a week? But Rebel's suggesting there that an understudy would come in to sort of overtake him in the future. Viking is saying 15 clean sheets. He's shown his loyalty. Imagine if that fax machine had worked. He's got to be number one on 200 grand a week, says Bath Time Inform. Viking said, I respect, in capital letters, De Gea for saving us in the past. I'm sure someone would argue that. Ed Mayerman saying here, I don't think goalkeepers are Ten Hag's number one priority position at the moment. Andy Long saying, why do we have to top it? Maybe a newcomer is happy with twice as much he was on before and takes 100k a week. Brush is saying here, Hendo's already on 100 plus a week and we got rid of him too. We know what happened there. Sarragan saying our known priorities are centre forward, centre midfield. If you can name De Gea's play replacement and where the cash is coming from, then you can convince me. 150k says Viking Reds. That's for Dean Henderson at the moment. We won't be able to sell him on 200k a week, and he's laughing. Says bath time. He's here for another 5 years on 200 grand a week. Wow, better the devil you know, says Andy. The defence and De Gea have the most clean sheets. Eric Ten Hag probably thinks he can work with that for next season and focus on other spots this summer. UK Stranger saying we've got no one else to replace De Gea. Barfan saying probably Inter Milan, Miami, and some Saudi farmers and Woodlands FC. UK Stranger saying club has no choice but to offer him a new deal. I'm just going to filter through here. We've got bang on bath time if he beats City. Andy Long said money saved on De Gea's wages can pay a new player that comes in for free, like we did with Ericsson, for example. Sancho earns far too much money, says UK Strange. Bart saying here, United need an Alisson, Virgil van Dijk. All right, we're talking about Liverpool players. We don't want to. They're catching us at the moment. I agree. David De Gea is spoon-fed at United, and that's your lot for now. Keep them coming. Oh, sorry, MUFT Realist. How you doing? Go check out his channel. Good evening, gentlemen. Long time no chat. I think I'm feeling a bit Qatari.
Yes, indeed. No, I suppose just to summarise the events of today, many news outlets and media are reporting that there has been a change in the wind. The previous reports last week and the week before of Sir Jim being in pole position to go into partnership with Joel from Glazer seem to be been moved away from. And it's now being reported that Sheikh Shazim and the Qatari bid are now leading the charge for the ownership of Manchester United. We've also had the report that David De Gea is after agreeing terms. Now, it did not say he signed the contract, but it is believed that he's agreed terms to a 200k per week contract at Manchester United, and we will keep an eye on the developments there. I do see that report that we are linked with Rice, as are many other clubs, at £120 million. That, I think, is a topic for another day. But to close out using a Eurovision pun, we have been the rock and roll kids, and Manchester United will rise like a phoenix, because what is another year? Good night, God bless, and enjoy the Champions League semi-final.
Bye-bye.